Hey everybody, welcome to another weekly live with Lyssa where I show you how to make a fun card using Stampin' Up! Products. I'm coming to you from Embellish in Watertown, Wisconsin. I would love to have you stop in if you're in the area. That would be so much fun to show you my studio and set you up with some Stampin' Up! So thanks for watching today. I really appreciate that, and I hope the techniques shown today are fun, make you want to go get in the craft room. Today I'm going to feature a stamp set called Changing Leaves. It is an online exclusive, meaning you can only get it by going to the website and ordering it there from the online store. So the website is lyssa.stampinup.net. And I will be your demonstrator if you order there. Just double check that my name is still your demonstrator at checkout, and then I'll be able to provide you with customer service and thank you cards and lots of ideas. So if you need anything, let me know. Happy to help. So Changing Leaves is a great stamp set for this time of year, of course, but really any time of year. I appreciated that there's a variety of leaves shown, so it's not necessarily fall. Right? There are sayings that would work all year round as well. So we're going to make this card that says a little note to brighten your day, which is perfect because fall leaves are so bright and colorful, right? I was completely inspired, totally inspired by this card sent to me by my friend Christine, with whom I'm doing a stamp camp this weekend. So that's going to be fun. And she's a really good stamper, and so I decided I would copy this card, put my own twist on it, and show it to you guys. So thanks, Christine, for the inspiration and for the card. All right, so what we're going to need is a leaf stamp, and it needs to be an open work leaf, meaning it's not too solid, so it'll be a leaf that we would color. A spatter stamp, which come in many different stamp sets. I don't even remember which stamp set this comes in because I've had it here on my desk for so long. I never even put it away because I use my spatter stamps so much. Then your desired sentiment and a whole bunch of blends. So these are special alcohol-based markers. You might know them by the brand name Copic. This is Stampin' Up's version. They're called Stampin Blends. They're double-ended markers, and they come in pairs so that you have both shades, both light and dark, of the same color. So I've got copper clay, which you could also use pecan pie if you don't have copper clay, old olive, I've just forgot the name of this. Oh, wild wheat. You can also use any yellow if you need to. But this is wild wheat. This is the important one. You need crumb cake, light and dark. And that's because the whole background is crumb cake. This entire piece is colored. So this is not just the background, it's actually totally colored too. Then I have pumpkin pie or some sort of orange and real red. Or you could use like Poppy Parade would work too, but a nice muted color palette for fall. Okay, and then little embellishments, some sort of punch or die to put your sentiment on, and some twine is all we're going to need for this. The main thing is the stamping and coloring. So once you've got your card base cut, you want to cut white, plain white, to the one step down from the card. So this would be a regular A2 card, so it's 5.5 by 8.5, folded in half at the 4 1/4 mark. And then the step down would be 4 by 5 1/4. And don't glue it down yet because we've got a lot of stamping to do. And you will see when we're finished, we'll flip it over and we'll see how the color has bled through. We don't want any of that color to bleed through onto this, so we'll leave that off. You do want to protect your surface. If you don't have the glass mat from Stampin' Up, you can put down a piece of wax paper or just any sort of paper, except I do not recommend using newsprint to cover your table because the ink is not super steadfast and it can get on your hands and then you can get it on your project, and yeah, ink is newsprint ink is notorious for making your fingertips dark. Okay, because we're using alcohol-based markers, we need to use a water-based ink. So I'm using Tuxedo Black by Memento, and that is the recommended ink to use with alcohol-based markers. So to start, we're going to stamp randomly on our paper, except not so randomly, right? You always want to start in the center if you're going to stamp randomly, and that is so that if you didn't stamp in the center and you just started at one end, maybe you would leave some awkward white space in the middle of the card where the leaves didn't come together very well. But we are preventing that from happening by stamping our image in the middle right away, so that we can position all the rest of the images around it and not leave any weird gaps. Weird gaps are no good. Okay, so I'm just turning the paper or turning the stamp, whichever you prefer, in order to get a good variety of positions for the images. And you want to go ahead and stamp all the way off the end of the paper. Okay, and that will just give you a good finished look here for your stamped piece. I think it's pretty already, but of course it'll be prettier once we color it. Okay, then don't forget to stamp your sentiment too before you put away your ink pad. And if you want to, you can stamp the dots now. I'm going to do that afterwards though. Okay, so here's where we get into some of the coloring, and I'll show you a little bit closer on this one. Don't judge me for my coloring. My hands are so cold today. My fingers are almost numb. It's finally getting chilly here in Wisconsin. So we've got the dark and light version, just coloring like a checkerboard. So I love this shade of yellow, this wheat color. So I'm going to do that first. And you should probably use the fine tip of your blends and not the large tip like I'm using. But for the sake of time, I'm just going to use the large tip, because you all have better things to do than just sit around and watch me color all day, right? The way the leaves are drawn, you don't drive yourselves too nuts trying to get the perfect pattern. No one is going to notice if you skip to or color to the same color. Nobody is going to notice nor care. So just do roughly every other one. Oops, I was just ready to go on to the next flower, wasn't I? Or the next leaf. Okay, and then I'm going to fill in the rest with my light version of wild wheat. Don't have to be quite as careful because it doesn't matter if it goes into the dark color at all. Isn't that pretty? It's so 3D already. All right, let's do another one. So just pick a place to start on your leaf and color until you've got this checkerboard pattern filled in. It doesn't take very long. Of course, if you're going to be super picky about every tiny little bit, it will probably drive you nuts. This may not be the technique for you, but if you can color quickly. This one's getting a little dry, so that's where we're getting that squeak. We've got our lighter green. Isn't that pretty? I really like this stamp. So I know you may not have exactly the same leaf stamp I do, but you probably have one similar that you can use. Let's try some orange here. You probably have one similar in your stash that you can use to make a card with this technique. Cute. I can't wait to play with this stamps that at other times of the year. I think I'm going to have fun making it work for different seasons. But of course, right now I'm doing all fall colors because that is my favorite season. And I'm so happy about all these beautiful, warm, colorful tones. Ooh, the orange one is particularly nice. Oops, I went right over the edge with that one. That's okay, because we're going to be doing some coloring around the edges of the leaves, so this my little mistakes here won't be quite as obvious as they may look right now. Then I've got my brown tone or a copper clay. That is one of the in colors that I'm having so much fun with. They are last year's in colors, so they'll be going out in April of 2025. So we have time yet to play with them, but they are all the best earthy boho tones, and they're just coming into their own for fall right now, for sure. Well, this one has a little more subtle difference between the light and dark, but it's still there. All right, I might change this into a sympathy card, because just before I got on Facebook today, I saw, or just before I went live, I saw a post. A friend of mine had lost a couple of relatives this month, and hard times, right? So it sounds like she might need a card, and I can do that. All right, let's have a red one. So you could choose just a couple of colors of leaves, or you can make each one different like I have. Totally up to you. But when you're deciding which blends markers to get, and if you can't get them all, because let's face it, we can't always get what we want, right? Think about how those colors work together, because you'll probably be finding yourself using them multiple colors on the same project. And so don't just dive in and grab, you know, your top 5 favorites. I would think about how they work together. So I always recommend a green, because you're going to need green for floral leaves. I always recommend crumb cake, because that's my absolute favorite for adding details to projects, weathering projects, and this background like we're doing here. I usually recommend Pool Party as a light blue for skies, and it can also be used for flowers. And then I suggest then getting your favorite flower color, whether that's purple or orange or yellow, whatever your favorite tone would be for flowers. That's a good next color to get. Oh, this red one is getting a little old too. The tips, they are a consumable item. The tips get squashed eventually, and it's a little hard to color. They may run out of ink and get dry. Let's see, what color do I want? Let's do another yellow one. And the markers are not refillable, so you just need to use them till they're dry, and then say thank you for your service and let them go. But I use mine a lot, and they're all still juicy, still going strong. The only ones I've had to replace are the 2 colors I use the most often, which is the crumb cakes and the pool parties. And the others, I probably use the green the next most often, and it's still going strong too. Cheat a little bit on this one. Here we go. What should we make the last one, huh? I think we'll do green. We're pretty far away from the last green one, so. Are you bored yet of watching Lyssa color? This is a color-heavy card, so we're not done yet. But we're almost done with the tedious part of coloring, right? Okay. This card is all about the coloring. Some cards are more about the stamping. Some cards are more about the die cutting. But this one is definitely all about the coloring. squeak. When my studio was at home and I would use these markers and I'd run across a dry one, the guinea pigs would hear this squeaking noise from the other room and they would just start up, week, 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 week. It was so cute. So I think of my guinea pigs, my baby guineas, every time I use an almost dry marker. They would love that sound or hate that sound. I don't know. They didn't tell me if they loved it or hated it. All right. The next thing we're going to do then is make our leaves pop up off the paper by adding some background. So you want to start with your lighter crumb cake. And you can start anywhere, and we are literally just coloring the entire background in. Wow. Complicated. Oh yeah, watch the reds. The reds bleed for some reason. I don't know why. I haven't found that on any other color, but the red wants to bleed a little bit. Okay, so I'm just quickly adding color to the background. And then while it's still pretty damp, I'm going to come back in with the dark crumb cake and start adding some shadow to my leaves. And this will help make the leaves look like they are popped up off the paper, like they're actually sitting on top of the paper instead of just stamped onto the paper. Don't forget the stems. So anywhere there would be a little bit of shadow, you just want to add some of that crumb cake. So I'll continue on here with the light crumb cake. I love that it absolutely does not leave any streaks. That's so cool. Okay. Yep, not following my own advice and being careful around the red again. All right, let's go in. Go around it with the dark. Anywhere there might be some shadow. And don't forget the stem. Cool, huh? It really does look like they're popped up off the paper. Such a fun technique. Okay, and I'm going to show you in a minute here so you can see why it's so important to protect your table with a glass mat or some kind of paper or waxed paper, parchment paper, something to protect your table. Ooh, you can make big deep shadows. You can make little shadows. It's totally up to you. Okay, and you can always go back and add more shadow once it's dry, but then you'll want to go around again and blend with the lighter version of crumb cake. So what that's doing is taking these two different alcohol-based inks and allowing them to merge together on the paper. A little bit of red there. So pretty, huh? Okay, so we've got a lovely dynamic background going on here, and then we're going to stamp some spatter. Just a little bit, and that is going to really bring the whole thing together. So cool. All right, did I miss anywhere? Maybe over here, over there, maybe over here a little bit. Ah, it's so pretty. Isn't that cool? So in essence, we made our own background paper there with just a single stamp and a bunch of fun colors. And it's ready to go on our card base. Now the only tough decision is how to put it. Do we want it this way? Or do we want it this way? Ooh, I like it all the ways. But look at the back. Isn't that funny? So that is all bleed through. So you can see why we didn't want it on our card base yet. just in case it would bleed through onto the card on the inside where it could be seen. Now I'm going to add my background, but we're essentially done here because the rest is just decorating. And this is a great thing to do while you watch TV too. The only thing I would caution is while you're using the different colors, do get in the habit of putting the caps back on every time you finish with a color. Alcohol-based markers are not the kind of marker that you can leave around uncapped. Even just while you're working, you want to always keep the lids on because there is alcohol dries super fast, which is part of its plus, but it's also a downside when you're talking about how fast you need to get the caps back on, or you'll wind up with a dry marker. Okay, for my sample card, I had a cute little decorative circle cut out of crumb cake, and I had another one that's just out of vanilla that I'm going to use on this card. And then some dimensionals. For my sentiment. Wherever you want to position that. Then I've got crumb cake twine from the Neutrals Twine package. I wrapped it around twice. Give myself a little more room to play with here. And I'm going to tie that in a bow so that the bow winds up roughly over my circle. You could also use a torn strip of paper behind there, and one of your colors would be pretty as well. Cute. And then of course embellishments. I have the faux glass dots here in a rusty color. Cajun Craze is probably that color, come to think of it. Sweet. All right. How'd we do? Actually, I kind of like it with the vanilla circle here to pop out. It shows up a little bit better from the background, doesn't it? Well, that is the Changing Leaves card that I had for you today, inspired by my friend's Christine's card that she sent me, and it uses an online exclusive stamp set, and you can see those and all of our other online exclusives at lyssa.stampinup.net. And a new batch is going to be released next month too, so they are coming fast and thick. And if you're only got the catalog, then you are missing out on some of our product line, and some of our best pieces are online only. So get out your phone, take a break, and go see what's in store for the online exclusive category of the StampinUp.net store. All right, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment or send me a message, and I'll be happy to get back to you right away. And yeah, hope you enjoyed today.